Well, hello there, motherfuckers, and welcome to a review of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Nintendo Switch. So this game was originally a Wii U game, and it was one of the few Nintendo consoles that I didn't buy. There was the Virtual Boy, there was the Wii U, and, do I really need to say any more? It was a disappointing console, but it had a lot of key games that were really good. And thankfully, they ported one of them over. Supposedly, So what do I think about it? You guys know I'm a massive fan of the Donkey Kong Country franchise. But does this game stack up to those classics that are on the Super Nintendo? You're going to have to watch this review and find out. Hope you guys all enjoy this one. For a retro gamer like me who also enjoys the modern gaming scene as well, Retro Studios understands me. They know me. They don't really know me, but I feel like they do, because this is all I could have hoped for out of a new Donkey Kong Country game. Tropical Freeze, this was such a fun game to play, and such a fun sequel. Now, I never played Donkey Kong Country Returns for the Wii. I was kind of turned off by the motion controls. I will get to it one day, and yes, I know that there is a 3DS version as well that some people deem superior. But this was definitely a game. I am so happy that I purchased the Switch. I thought I was never going to be able to play this game if I didn't buy a Wii U. And thankfully it was ported to the Switch. So I am very grateful for that. And what we've got here is a classic retro style platformer that is much akin to the classics that were on the Super Nintendo. Donkey Kong and his friends will go through 6 huge, beautiful worlds. These worlds, oh my god, are a thing of beauty. These levels are so fucking lush, vibrant, and colorful. I'm sorry, but to me, this style of graphics is miles ahead of any 4K nonsense I've seen nowadays. And that's not just my inner retro gamer talking, but these visuals are so much more memorable than what you see in most video games today. They're a work of art. And the most minor of details and the backgrounds are so carefully constructed and designed, it's truly astonishing to behold. It's much like how Rare used to do it back in the days, and Retro Studios is following suit accordingly. The only distraction from all this visual majesty, the blistering difficulty at times, which is very much akin to the SNES classics of old. This is definitely a game where you cannot blink and you gotta be on your guard at all times. It's much like the old games, but sometimes it's a bit more advanced and faster paced. There are a lot of sections in this game where you're gonna have to try over and over again. And it is very much like the old games for the SNES, because there were many occasions when you would have to give it your all and really try again and again. It's classic retro gaming at its finest. Superb difficulty. That is fair. It's just that you really gotta learn the level design, understand the gaming mechanics, and get good at it. And I know that a lot of people, kind of don't like that, oh, get good, you're not good enough. Some people will say that this type of difficulty is unfair. And there is a very controversial feature in this game, which is Funky Kong. And also, when you fail 8 times at a level, you will be given the chance to actually skip that level. Now, you won't keep the collectibles that you might have obtained during that level's playthrough. But this is very much like Super Mario 3D World. And a lot of people had a big problem with the Tanuki suit. But this game actually lets you skip over the level. So if you wanted to, if you kept on losing, say, in every level, you could possibly skip all the way to the end boss. And, I kind of have mixed feelings about that. I understand that certain people may not be good at platformers. They might not be good at certain video games, certain genres. But, when you don't really fully reward the player for, not playing to the best of their ability, that is understandable. They're kind of like letting you know, okay, so you weren't able to beat this level. We don't want to torture you by having you play the same level over and over again. We're gonna give you the ability to see what's next. But I could see why people might make the argument that this is a little bit unfair, and that back in the day, if you couldn't beat a level, tough shit. If there wasn't a code and there wasn't a level select code, then that was tough. You were going to be looking at that level until you could beat that motherfucker. Now, you do have your Kong buddies along for the ride, which does make the journey more accessible. You have Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong, and for the first time ever, you actually get to play as Old Man Cranky Kong, which was a real hoot, especially since his game mechanic is very similar to Scrooge McDuck and DuckTales, as he could use his cane as a pogo stick, and he could pogo on top of and over obstacles. Diddy Kong has his jetpack, which he got in Donkey Kong 64, and Dixie Kong has her helicopter ponytail, but it works a little bit differently. It's more of a double jump. And out of all the Kongs, I found that Dixie was definitely the most useful, and that was fine with me because Dixie Kong is actually my favorite Kong of all, and I found that her mechanic really was the most useful in most scenarios throughout these levels. Diddy kind of is just a little bit of a hover. Dixie will really get you out of a lot of jams, and I found her very useful, especially in boss battles or anything that was very jump heavy in a level. I found she came in, in very much in handy. It's just that with Diddy and Cranky, it's like they just seem like they fall below the bar of where Dixie is, making them worthless. Like, Diddy's hover is just not as good as Dixie's double jump. And Cranky, the mechanic for the pogo stick is good in certain sections, like when there's thorns on the ground. But, for more platform jumping heavy sections, the pogo stick can be very inaccurate. And, I found myself falling off of platforms because I felt like this is just the most inaccurate of all the characters. Now, they ride on Donkey's back, which deceived me at first because I thought like, oh, they're just going to be a secondary backup character. But you activate them when you press the jump button for the second time. So that activates their ability. So it was great to see this different mechanic. Usually you would have to tag in and out in the old games on the Super Nintendo. So they tried something a little different, and I think it works for the most part. Now, Funky Kong is a very interesting character, and he is exclusive to the Switch version. So if you didn't think that was enough being able to skip levels if you lose enough at them, you could choose Funky Kong, which is basically the easy mode of this game. He has a massive double jump. He also can't get hurt on spikes, and he could also slow his descent by spinning around on his surfboard. An interesting, fun character to play as, but I honestly did not play as him until I completed the game. I just wanted to test out how he is, and to be quite honest, he's fun, but I still prefer to play as the combination of Donkey and Dixie. So when you're not selecting Funky Kong to play as him, he will be in the local store, and you will be able to buy items for him. And one of the most interesting things about this store is you can actually purchase DK Buddy Barrels, which you will use to, access your friends during levels. You can actually purchase them, and you'll be able to access your friends at any time during a level. And sometimes, when I was facing off against a tough boss and I might have lost Dixie, I would, basically pause the game, access the barrel that I purchased from Funky, and be able to, take some extra hits and be able to utilize Dixie's double jump. And I thought that was really cool, It also lessens the difficulty without having to skip the level. One thing I gotta say though, what is Funky's deal? I thought that this was fucking hilarious. Do you hear the noises that this guy makes? I mean, what is his problem? Now let's talk for a minute about the villains and Lord Frederick and the Snowmads. Now, they're funny, they have a lot of personality. There's penguins, there's walruses, there's polar bears. I don't like them as much as the Kremlings. I'm just going to come out and say that right now. And Lord Frederick is nowhere as cool as King K. Rool. He's definitely got personality, which shows in the final boss battle with him, but you know, it's just he's not King K. Rool, and these are not the Kremlings. Maybe we'll see them in the next game, and I understand that, you know, the Kremlings wouldn't really fit so well into this whole freezing storyline, which is that the Snowmads and Lord Frederick have frozen Donkey Kong Island. And you know, it is your job to basically defeat the Snowmads and Lord Frederick to unfreeze the island. It's just that, you know, the designs are just not where they were at for the old Super Nintendo games when it comes to the villains, but they're still good. It's just, you know, they've got big shoes to fill. They're better than in most games, but, you know, like I said, I still prefer the Kremlings and King K. Rool at the end of the day. Now, I want to turn my attention back to the level design of Tropical Breeze, and just how innovative, creative, fun, and challenging it is. I particularly love the minecart levels, which I fell in love with in the first game, and of course the roller coaster levels that were in the second game. And I feel like we've got a fusion of the two. These minecart levels are chaotic as fuck. There's even there's similar levels where you're in a boat, and then you have the super fucking challenging rocket barrel levels in this game, which I have to say I have a mixed reaction to. They're fun. I really like a lot of the scenarios and challenges, especially when one of these Snowmads, a man's a big machine, and he kind of, you know, attacks you with a pattern, and you have to be very quick in your in your reaction and your controlling of the rocket barrel. The biggest problem I have with this is the way the rocket barrel controls. Basically, you're just pressing the jump button during these levels, and it matters, you know, how fast you're tapping it and how slow you're tapping it. It will affect your ascent and your descent. Now, this just felt kind of wonky at times. I don't know if it was me. It may be, you know, I'm not good at these levels, but I was dying so many times. I mean, oh my god. These were getting to be torturous at times, and I warned you ahead of time that this is how it is in Tropical Breeze. You've got some very challenging levels, and you might see the message popping up asking you if you'd like to proceed to the next level. I said fuck no, and I persevered, and I ended up winning. I mean, and that's the thing about this game. It's so challenging that when you finally beat a level, you get a sense of accomplishment. And a lot of people don't understand that type of mentality when playing these difficult games, but you know, you really feel like you've accomplished something, that, you know, you kept going at it, you kept plugging away until you finally found the solution to the problem. And that's what Tropical Breeze does. It rewards you for, you know, overtaking these challenges. And yeah, these rocket barrel levels, they're hard as shit, and they're definitely, to me, one of the hardest parts of this game. Now, the bosses are also equally as challenging at times, especially this fucking polar bear right here. I had to try so many times to try to beat this guy. I really like, though, his attack patterns and how he was designed, and some of his attacks are so fucking cheap. it kind of goes back to like NES days and that type of difficulty. Oh yeah, I'm talking about NES level of difficulty. I also like how he fakes you out when he starts throwing the projectiles. He's like, yeah, no, not now, motherfucker. Okay, now. And just fucking flings ice at you. And I thought that was pretty funny. I actually started cracking up at that when the boss was actually like it's like the boss is watching your jump patterns as you're evading his projectiles, and then he tries to fake you out. I thought that was fucking clever. Retro Studios, you definitely do a really good job at these small minor touches, I gotta say. Now, let's talk about a level that doesn't take place inside a vehicle, and that would be Grassland Groove, which is probably one of the strongest levels in this game from a design perspective. First of all, it's got a Lion King-esque feel to it, especially that music. It's very weird. It's like the animals in it, they're like animatronic. And like you clearly see that like the giraffes are like fake like puppets, and it's just odd, and it's a very challenging, very unique level design. You're going to be doing a lot of different things, hanging on a lot of different objects while you traverse the level, and you just get like a sense of like, wow, you look at the backgrounds and you see like the lighting effects, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, this is one beautiful game. This is like the level where you will realize that Tropical Freeze is a visual work of art. It is also a game design and level design work of art as well. And this was definitely one of the standout levels for me. I also really like, there was a few sections in this game. And then there was this one particular level where you had a silhouette, like you couldn't even see Donkey and your partner. You would just pretty much see the silhouette. And I thought that was very interesting, graphical change, something like to make you go, ooh, and like, what's going on here. Also the water levels. Combined it with David Wise's beautiful musical score and a remixed version of Aquatic Ambiance. I mean, oh my god. And, can we talk about David Wise's score? From Big Top Bop, which is just a fucking awesome metal tune. I'll let you listen to it a little bit right here. And then you've also got the underwater music is just, it's so beautiful and soothing. There's a lot of people who hate water levels, but maybe this will make it a little bit better. The game also has a ton of secrets, such as bonus rooms, alternate exits, and the very difficult to find jigsaw pieces. And some of these are really cleverly hidden, and they look a lot like the jiggies from Banjo-Kazooie, to say the least. And they're all optional, so if you're not really a completionist and that's not really your sort of thing, then you can just ignore them altogether, which is really good. It's nice to know that these aren't mandatory for completing the game, but it is nice to have it there for people who want to go a little bit further. One of the more disappointing aspects of Tropical Freeze is the lack of animal buddies. Now, in the original 3 Donkey Kong Country games, you had a vast cast of animal characters that you could access, such as Rambi, Espresso the ostrich, Squawks the parrot, Squitter the spider, and this time around in Tropical Freeze there's only one animal buddy, and it is granted the most famous of them all, Rambi the rhinoceros. But you know, why aren't the others playable? Now you do see Squawks in Funky Shop, and you can purchase his services to help you find puzzle pieces, but you can't play as him. Now, when you do get to use Rambi, it is in a number of very exciting levels, and they were actually some of my favorite levels. But, you know, I really would have liked to play as Squitter again, or, you know, just one of the other animal buddies would be nice. It would have been nice to have some more options. This game gives you a lot of options, but for some reason, one of the biggest staples of the series is absent in some respects. This game gets a wholehearted recommendation from me, especially to anybody who grew up with the franchise and is looking for a new game that will definitely, you know, dazzle your eyes, dazzle your ears, and give you some great gameplay. Tropical Breeze has got it all. And if you're looking for a challenge, oh boy, this one has definitely got it. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, please hit a thumbs up. Or hit a thumbs down if you didn't, and tell me how I can improve my videos. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. Check out some of the content I have posted here, and thank you for watching, guys. Until next time.